We'll get started in a minute. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं कृष्णचैतन्यमीश्वरम्। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवसादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas in the call. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपः कुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. We are in Canto 2, chapter number 5. Chapter number 5 is titled The Cause of All Causes. So, how did we start chapter number 5? Basically, at the end of chapter number 4, we saw how Parikshit had some questions, and Shukadeva Goswami told him that he will answer his questions based on the samvad that happened between Brahma and Narada Muni. What was the question he had? He wanted to know about how the Lord's external energy functions. He wanted to know about creation. So, to answer that, he cited the conversation between Narada Muni and Brahma. Once upon a time, Narada Muni had some questions. What were the questions that Narada had? He wanted to know the symptoms of the universe, yad rupam. He wanted to know what is its shelter, yad adhishthanam. How it is created, yata srishtam. Yat samstham, how is it conserved? Yat param, what does it depend on? Yat cha, what is it composed of? These are the questions Narada Muni had, and he went to his father Brahma. Why did he go to his father? Because he was having this conviction that Brahma knows everything, Brahma is independent, he's self sufficient, and Narada was under the impression that Brahma had no other source. Keeping this in mind, he thought his father is all in all, and he went and asked his father to clarify doubts. And he had another question along with all of this. What was the extra question he had? He says, I thought you're all in all. You are the source of everything. But then I also have an additional question. Why you perform so much austerity? So is there someone who's more powerful than you? This is the final question he asks. So now that Narada Muni has a set of questions and he's also doubted the ultimate authority of Brahma, while answering the questions, first he thanks Narada for asking such fantastic questions. But he very clearly answers the last question, saying that I am not all in all, and there is the Supreme Lord who is beyond me, and He is the one who is the source of everything. And people of this world are illusioned to think that I am the Lord of this universe. He tells Narada, you should understand that I only recreate. People affected by Maya, they are thinking that I am the Supreme. So, because of this misconceptions of I and mine, they are put into this illusion and they are not acknowledging the ultimatum or the ultimate power of the Lord, and they are thinking that I am the Supreme. So, having said this, now he begins to answer one by one the questions that Narada had. What was the first question he had? The first question he had was Yad Rupam, symptoms of this universe. The answer to Yad Rupam, what are the symptoms of this universe? He says the five components of this universe are non-different from Vasudeva, being differentiated parts and parcels, but nothing exists but him in truth. What are these? There is Jiva, Swabhava, Karma, Kala, Dravya. These are the five ingredients we're talking about. What are we talking about in the universe? In the universe, there is Jiva. The Jivas have certain Swabhavas. They come with some karma. They are affected by Kala, and there are material ingredients in this universe. All put together is the symptom of this universe. And what is the symptom made up of? It is made up of nothing but Vasudeva. Vasudeva is everything in this universe. He exists as everything in this universe. That was answer number 1, Yad Rupam. Answers to question 2 and 5. What is question 2? Question 2 is Yad Adhishthanam and Yat Param. What is Yat Adhishthanam and Param? It is what is the shelter and what is this universe dependent on. For that, he says, Narayana is the Veda. Narayana is all the Devatas. Narayana is all the Lokas. Narayana is all the sacrifices, Makha. Narayana is all the yogas. Narayana is tapa. Narayana is jnana. Narayana is gati. Gati means ultimate destination. So he says Narayana is everything. Everything is Narayana. Everything has its shelter in Narayana, and everything in this world that you see depends on Narayana. Okay, so now Narada Muni might ask Brahma, okay, you're saying Narayana is everything. Yad Rupam, you say Vasudeva. Yad Adhishtanam and Yad Param, you say Narayana. Then what are you doing? What is your business? So that is when Brahma, he talks about himself. He says, actually, I'm very minute. I am also created by the Lord. I am his part and parcel. I am also a jiva. The transcendental Lord is above the gunas, but the jivas in this material world, they are tied by the gunas. And because of the illusion that the jivas are in, because they are covered by these gunas, they are unable to see the Lord per se. So these are the answers given by Brahma, where Brahma distinguishes the difference between himself and the Lord. Or in general, we can say the difference between the Jiva and Vishnu. Now, he's going to answer question number 3. So in the previous class, we saw answers to question number 1. We saw answers to question number 2 and 5. Now we are going to see answer to question number 3. What is question number 3? Yat srishtam. What is the process of creation? Now, this is going to be a very dry and very technical process. You will see some variations within the Bhagavatam itself to this process. For additional reference and clarity, you can refer Brahma Samhita, which gives even better insights into the exact step-by-step process of creation. The same concept is explained in Canto number 3, chapter number 5, with a little more details. So we will be uncovering the process of creation in steps, but whatever is given in this chapter is more like, you might see some missing links. Not to worry, you can put everything together when you study this particular section from verses 21 to 31 or 35, and when you also study Canto 3, chapter 5, and when you also study Brahma Samhita. So when you put everything together, you will understand the process of creation. Okay, but we will see what is mentioned in verses 21 to 31. That is our target today. I'll get started with verse number 21. कालं कर्म स्वभावं च मायेशो मायया स्वया आत्मन्यदृच्छया प्राप्तं विभुभूषुरुपाददे. Anyone for translation, please?
Hare Krishna Mataji. The Lord, who is the controller of all energies, thus creates by his own potency, eternal time, the fate of all living entities and their particular nature for which they were created, and he again merges them independently. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay. So, the translation here, it says, the Lord, who is the controller of all energies, creates by his own potency. What is he creating by his own potency? He's creating eternal time, which is Kala. He is also creating the karma and the swabhava of living entities. Remember, we saw this Kala, karma, swabhava already for that exists in the jiva in the answer to the question Yadrupam, the symptoms of the universe. We saw that the jiva comes with swabhava, karma, and kala, right? Dravya is the material ingredients in this material world. Okay. But here in this particular verse, we are talking about how the Supreme Lord, who has all the energies, he's the controller of the internal energy, the external energy, and the marginal energy, who is the Jiva. That Supreme Lord, who is also called as Karanodakashayi Vishnu, he creates using his own potency. He is not dependent on anything. We saw earlier, Brahma was dependent on the Lord. He didn't have his own potency for creation. He does only secondary creation. But here, Karanodakashayi Vishnu, he creates by his own potency. Time is also coming from him. Karma of the living entities is already infused in them when they are coming in, and their swabhava is intact at the time of creation. Okay. So this is the first step we should understand. Whatever is there, it is coming from the Lord. But the jiva in this material world, in the time of creation, is coming along with kala and karma and swabhava. All this is infused at the time of creation. How is it infused at the time of creation? Because there was a previous destruction. Always when we talk of creation, we should understand it is coming from a previous destruction. That's why the verse you see, they were created by him and he again merges them independently. So whether it is creation or it is destruction or maintenance, everything is coming from the Lord. But time is always cyclic. So it is not that it happened at some point in time. Otherwise, how will the Lord, infuse the world with kala, karma and all that? So it is happening in a cyclic fashion. Always when we talk about creation, first we talk about destruction and then we say creation happened. Why? Because it is cyclic. Just keep that in mind. So you can imagine the first step is that Karno, in for just our visual understanding, we can imagine that Karno Dakshay Vishnu is lying in the ocean of milk and he's glancing at the material universe. So Prabhupada very beautifully in this purport, he describes how this could have happened. So we'll read that also, but just to give an idea first, you have Karno Dakshay Vishnu lying in Karna ocean and he's glancing at a Mahatattva cloud, which is a corner and of the huge Brahmajyoti. You can imagine Brahmajyoti as bright light, and there so many different spiritual planets are floating. And in the northeastern corner, there is a small cloud, which is just 1/4 of the Lord's creation. 3/4 is the spiritual world. That remaining 1/4 in a little corner is a dark cloud. And our Mahavishnu, who's lying in the causal ocean, glances at Mahatattva. Glances at Mahatattva, desiring to create. He's breathing in and he is breathing out. As he is breathing out from the pores of his body, so many universes are emanating. And with his glance, he is impregnating these universes not only with his creative potency, but he's also impregnating this universe with the Kala, Karma, and Swabhava of the Jivas. Kala is general, it is time factor. He's impregnating it with the Jivas and Kala. Jivas contain their Karma and Swabhava. Okay, so far everyone is okay. This section is going to be like that. So, but we'll keep getting questions. How many ever times you read, it feels like it's going to evaporate from your mind. But for now, you can have this visual in your mind. He's lying in the ocean, Karana ocean. He's glancing. He's breathing in, breathing out. As he's breathed out, already those material universes have come out and they are occupying one little corner of the entire spiritual sky. Okay, in that little corner in the northeastern direction, you can imagine there's a black cloud which is called as the Mahatattva, which is actually the creative cloud. There he glances. When he glances, what happens? There is some infusion that happens. So, of course, there are many details to this. In the Brahma Samhita, it has mentioned his glance becomes Shambhu and Shambhu contacts Maya. These are all extra details. But you can imagine he's glancing. And from that glance, there is a dim halo. That halo is called a Shambhu. That Shambhu touches Maya and agitates Maya. So now what's happening? What is he infusing this material world with? He's infusing this material world with Kala. Kala is time factor. Not only that, he's also infusing them with Jivas. All the Jivas that he had in stock with him, he's sending them all in. And when the Jivas are coming, they are already programmed to have Karma and Swabhava. Okay, so far okay. So now let's read the purport, but we'll stop like this. Again, we'll imagine and we'll go step by step. So purport of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada says the creation of material world wherein conditioned souls are allowed to act subordinately by the Supreme Lord takes place again and again. So this is the first point you should understand, that it is not that it's happening for the first time. It goes on and it repeatedly gets annihilated and created. And this material world, material existence, material creation is like a cloud in an unlimited sky. What is the real sky? The real sky is the bright spiritual sky. It is filled with the rays of Brahma Jyoti. And in a portion of that unlimited sky, in a little corner, there is a dark cloud. This dark cloud is called as the cloud of material creation or Mahat Tattva. This is a common terminology, okay? But we will read more about Mahat Tattva. So basically, like, casually, it's called as the cloud of Mahatattva. But is it really Mahatattva? What is the real Mahatattva? That we will find out in a minute, maybe in a few minutes. But for now, let's give it a name, the dark cloud of Mahatattva. Okay. So that is going to be the place where this material creation is going to start. Now, there, all the conditioned souls who want to lord it over material nature, they are sent there by the agency of Maya. So we living entities, we want to independently lord it over the material world. So we are all sent, go into that place. So Krishna, he just glances and he says, all of you get lost, all of you go there. Not get lost. He's always with us, even if he asks us to go. He comes as the Paramatma and he takes care of us. So he says, okay, you want to enjoy, you can go. With my glance, I'll shoot you in. So he's sending you to that dark cloud. And Prabhupada, he gives this analogy. He says, just as in a rainy season, you see a cloud that appears and disappears. Similarly, creation, it can take place and it can disappear, meaning it is created and it is annihilated according to the control of the Lord. Okay, this is also there in Bhagavad Gita, that Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate, I think that verse. Again and again, there is creation and destruction. Right? Yeah, Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate. Bhutagrama sa evayam Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate. Ratri agame avashapartha prabhavati aharagame. So it says again and again, when Brahma's day arrive, all the living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. So basically, this is at the end of Brahma's life, technically, if you see, because we are talking about Karnodakshay Vishnu. So technically, new Brahma is born at this point in time. But anyway, so in a rainy season, suddenly you may see a dark black cloud. This is actually rainy season for many of us in the US. So every time it's raining almost every day, all the time. And you see these dark clouds that appear. Now, these dark clouds, you can imagine in a nice bright sky, suddenly there is one dark cloud in a corner. This dark cloud doesn't stay for too long. It appears, and then once it rains, it disappears, right? So like that, creation also appears and disappears, appears and disappears. That's how this world comes into existence. But then who is sent into this dark cloud? It is we living entities who want to lord it over. And Prabhupada says that therefore creation doesn't have a historical date. He says we are usually accustomed to thinking of everything with a beginning in our tiny experience. We cannot understand something that doesn't have a beginning date and only has an end date. For us, it's very difficult to understand. Why I say end date, it's not about the universe, it is about us, we being in this material world. We say we are in this material world since time immemorial, but then we have an end date. We can go back home, back to Godhead. So this concept itself is so difficult for us to understand because we are accustomed to thinking of everything which has a beginning in our tiny experience in this world. So you can imagine this creation is eternally happening. It's eternally happening. There is no time when it got created. So because our brains cannot understand things that don't have a beginning and only have an ending, we cannot comprehend this. But theoretically, you should understand there is no question of beginning. Therefore, the process of creation and annihilation is called as anadi, or without reference to a date regarding the time when the creation took place first. Okay. And even for partial creation, we say it is 8,640,000 years. Even the duration of partial creation, that is like only for the day or night of Brahma. So basically, the Vedic literatures, they have told us that again and again there is creation and this annihilation for this created material world. The whole material world or even the spiritual world is nothing but the manifestation of the energy of the Lord. Just like how for fire, it has two properties, light and heat. What is light and heat for fire? It is the energy of fire. Correct? They are manifestation of fire's energy. Therefore, the Lord exists in his impersonal form by such expansion of his energy, and the complete creation rests on his impersonal feature. It is nothing but the energy of his impersonal feature. This creation, all this creation, this material world, all this is coming from the Brahman, from the impersonal Brahman. So, but however, it is very, very difficult. It is very difficult for the human brain to understand how in this sky, in this bright sky, suddenly there is a black cloud, and then from that cloud, there is creation that starts. But everything is ultimately his energy. Even the Brahmajyoti also, it is his effulgence, right? From his effulgence, all this is coming out. So you can imagine like that. So basically, the source is Krishna. The source is Narayana. But his expansion transforms into the material energy. But that is his energy transforms into material. His external energy is the material world. Okay? So again, Prabhupada says, you should understand, though it is his energy, he is not entrapped into this material world. Like Shankaracharya says, Prabhupada says in the purport, even Shankaracharya, a great advocate of the impersonal form of the Absolute, has told Narayana Paravavyaktat. Narayana is different. He's beyond this material manifestation. The whole creation is coming from him, okay, and it finally merges into the transcendental body of Narayana. So all the living entities, parts and parcels, we are all described as his marginal energy, because sometimes we get attracted to the material creation, and sometimes we like to associate with the Lord. So we are his marginal energy. This material world is his external energy, and the spiritual world is his internal energy. But though everything is his energy, everything is emanating from him, everything is emanating from the Brahma Jyoti, still we should understand that he is always avyakta. He is always transcendental. He is unmanifest. Okay. So verse number 1, what we understood is that Karanodakashay Vishnu, who's lying in the causal ocean, is glancing at that dark cloud, and he's infusing it with Kala and Jivas composed of Karma and Swabhava. So far, you can imagine this. Now we'll go to text number 22. कालाद्गुण व्यतीकर परिणाम स्वभावतः कर्मणो जन्म महत पुरुषाधिष्ठितात् अभूत्. Anyone for translation?
Hare Krishna Mataji. I can read translation. After the incarnation of the first Purusha, Karanarnava Sai Vishnu, the Mahatattva or the principles of material creation take place, and then time is manifested, and in course of time the three qualities appear. Nature means the three qualitative appearances. They transform into activities.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for reading. Okay, so now Karanodakashay Vishnu has glanced and he has sent everything. Okay, now at this point in time, he has to also send the three modes of material nature, that is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamoguna. So these are in inactive state. Okay, it is somehow or the other, he sends even the three modes of material nature next. After the incarnation of the first Purusha, Karanodakashay Vishnu, the Mahatattva or the principles of creation takes place, and then time is manifested. We have seen that. And in course of time, over a period of time, because we have Kala, Swabhava, Karma, Jiva, all of this is there, right? So in the course of interaction, the three modes of material nature appear. So the three modes of material nature is what? Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Now, these are kind of in an inactive state. They are not mixing with everything in the material world. Okay, they have not yet started acting. They are in an inert condition. Okay, that's the next step. So Prabhupada says in the purport, by the omnipotency of the Supreme Lord, this entire material creation, it evolves by the process of transformation and reaction, one after the other. One after the other, something is created. So Kala is there, okay? And Kala may be taken as the first cause of creation. And by transformation of nature, different activities in the material world, they become visible. So first there is a few things that is infused, and over a period of time with various interactions, more objects are created. So like that, you have the three modes of material nature that also come into existence. Originally, everything is coming from Vishnu because Janmadhyasya Yataha. So originally, everything is coming from Krishna. Kala may be taken as the first cause of all creation. And by transformation of nature, different activities in the material world, they become more and more visible. So these activities may be taken up as the natural instinct of each and every being or even inert objects. And after the manifestation of activities, there are various products and byproducts of the same nature. So first, a few things are sent. They all start interacting with each other. And now we are going to have the three modes of material nature. Now, the three modes of material nature are still inactive. They have not started acting with each other. So you can imagine these three modes of material nature like three colors in a palette. You have painting, right? All of you paint. So you have a palette and you have different colors. So you can imagine there are three primary colors. Okay, these three primary colors have not yet started mixing to give in secondary colors and tertiary colors and so on. So our entire, this big prism of colors is not yet created. We just have three colors. They have not yet started mixing. Okay, next step, 23. Mahatastu vikurvanad raja satvo prabhirmitat tamaha pradhanastva abhavat dravya jnana kriyatmakaha. Someone can read.
Krishna Mataji. Translation. Material activities are caused by the Mahatatvas being agitated. At first, there is transformation of the modes of goodness and passion, and later, due to the mode of ignorance, matter is knowledge, and different activities of material knowledge come into play. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So now there is some agitation that is happening in the universe. So there are the three modes. Now it all has to get agitated and it has to start interacting further. So first, there is transformation of the modes of goodness and passion. That is what acts first. You have this, when material nature has the three modes of material, when the three modes of material nature, when pradhana or the, so first what happened, Karnodakshay Vishnu, he glanced, okay? He glanced, he sent the jivas and he, with their karma and swabhava, and he sent Kala. Now, when this is all mixed together in this material world, you call it pradhan. Okay, you just call it pradhan. That concept is called as pradhan. Here it is called as pradhan, but technically it is prakriti. Okay, so let's stick to pradhan. That's okay. Let's use that terminology pradhan because that's what is used here right now. Sometimes prakriti and pradhan are used interchangeably. That's why I said that. But for now, let's consider it pradhana. Now, when pradhan has the three modes of material nature that is manifesting in it because of the combinations of the kala, karma, and swabhava, we saw three modes of material nature has come, but it is in inert condition. So when this three modes of material nature start mixing, we saw that palette example, right? Palette of colors. So when they start mixing, they form the Mahat Tattva. So this is the next step in creation. It is called as Mahat Tattva. So now this Mahat Tattva has two divisions in it. First division is Mahat Tattva in the mode of Sattva Guna, in the mode of goodness. Mahat Tattva in the mode of Rajoguna. First, these two are created. First, there is general Mahat Tattva. Now, this Mahat Tattva divides into Mahat Tattva in the mode of goodness, Mahat Tattva in the mode of passion. So first we have the glance of Mahavishnu. Then we have material nature or pradhan where the three modes are inactive. Next, we have Mahat Tattva where the three modes have started mixing. They have started interacting with each other and they have created Mahat Tattva in Sattva. They have created Mahat Tattva in Rajoguna. Okay. Now, if Mahat Tattva in Sattva Guna and Mahat Tattva in Rajoguna is created, what about Mahat Tattva in Tamoguna? The verse says, mode of ignorance is created much later. Okay. And Prabhupada will explain that in the purport also. First, goodness and passion comes, then the mode of ignorance comes later. Okay, now let's see what Prabhupada says in the purport. So Prabhupada says, material creations of every description are more or less due to development of mode of passion. The Mahatattva is the principle of material creation, and when it is agitated by the Supreme, at first the modes of passion and goodness are prominent. Later, after the mode of passion and goodness are created, in course of time, as things evolve more, things get into the mode of ignorance. Ignorance comes more and more as the living entities start associating with this material world. Therefore, ignorance comes later. Brahma represents the mode of passion, Vishnu represents the mode of ignorance, while the mode of Vishnu represents the mode of goodness, while the mode of ignorance is represented by Shiva, who is the father of material activities. So material nature is the mother, and the initiator of materialistic life is the father, who is Lord Shiva. So first there is goodness and passion that is more prominent, and with time, slowly, with advancement, we see that there is ignorance that slowly becomes more and more prominent. And Prabhupada gives the example of age of Kali. Age of Kali sets in very late. First you have Krita Yoga, then you have Treta, Dwapar, and then you have the age of Kali. And in age of Kali, what is more prominent? The mode of ignorance is more prominent. As the living entities associate more and more in this material world, as things are more and more settled in this material world, eventually this mode of goodness becomes adulterated. Passion also becomes into ignorance. Everything gets transformed into ignorance. So with time, I know, just like they say, aging of wine, right? So initially, if it is, sorry for the bad example, but that's what came to my mind now. You have wine, and I mean, you have grape juice, you keep it for some time. Initially, it's nice, sweet grape juice. But if you keep it for some time in that barrel, it becomes aged wine, right? What is aged wine? It's the mode of ignorance. Initially, it's sweet, nice grape juice, and it's good even for babies and all that. But then later, as it is kept more and more, the mode of ignorance increases. So that's exactly what is happening in this material world. So initially, everything is okay. There is goodness. There is even passion, because passion is very important for further generation. It is there initially. But then as it keeps aging, things become more and more in the mode of ignorance. Prabhupada says, in other words, the gross matters are adhibhutam, their maintenance is adhidaivam, and the initiator of material activities is called as adhyatmam. In the material world, these three principles act as prominent features, namely raw material, its regular supplies, and the use of different varieties of material creations for sense enjoyment by the bewildered living entities. So basically, this Mahatattva is in two modes first. It is first in the mode of Sattva, then it is also in the mode of Rajas. With time, what is happening? It is developing into Mahatattva in the mode of ignorance. Ahankara, or identity with this material world, is prominently in the mode of ignorance. What is Ahankara? The identification with this world. What did we read just now? We saw as time progresses, there is more and more onset and happiness in this world. So that identification with this material world, like that aged wine, that wine has fermented so much, identifying itself with its stay in the barrel, right? So like that, with time, ahankara predominates, and ahankara is predominantly in tamoguna. Okay. Now, ahankara has come through tamoguna only. Okay. But then it is predominantly tamoguna, but then in that ahankara, there are three categories. What are the three categories? Ahankar in the mode of goodness, ahankar in the mode of passion, ahankar in the mode of hardcore ignorance. Okay. So generally, Mahatattva, Mahatattva, it is in the mode of Sattva and Rajas. But then as time passes, Mahatattva evolves into the mode of ignorance. Mahatattva in the mode of ignorance means it is ahankara. Ahankara means identifying with this world. Now, this ahankara, this principle of ahankara, is divided into three parts. It is divided into ahankar in the mode of goodness, ahankar in the mode of passion, and ahankar in the mode of ignorance. Now, this goodness, what do you see there? Predominantly, you see Jnana Shakti or Karta. When you talk about goodness, there is Adi Deiva. That is what Prabhupada has written here. He has written here about Adi Deiva, the initiator of activities. The initiator of activities is Adi Deiva. Karana or cause through Kriya Shakti is Adhyatma. Here you see Adhyatma. Oh, sorry, I just said it wrong. One second. In other words, the gross matters are Adhibhutam. Maintenance is Adhidevam. Sorry for that. Their maintenance is Adhidevam. And the initiator of material activities is called as Adhyatmam. So, initiator of material activities is Adhyatmam. And this Adhyatmam is initiated by the Lord's Kriya Shakti. So now I'll come back, I'll explain this again. You have this Ahankara, which is predominantly in the mode of Tamoguna. We said that is going to be divided into three parts. It is Ahankara in the mode of goodness, Ahankara in the mode of passion, and Ahankara in the mode of ignorance. Now remember, the Lord also has three Shaktis. He has Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Dravya Shakti that he has put into this world. So this Jnana Shakti is also called as Adideva. Kriya Shakti is called as Adhyatma. And Karya Shakti or Dravya Shakti is called as Adhibhuta. Okay, so now these three are respectively in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Don't worry, if you're not remembering anything, I will again show a chart. I'll again explain everything. You will definitely be able to understand. As I'm talking, we also have purport to cover. That's the reason you might get a little sidetracked, but not to worry. At the end, I will show you a slide. I will show you how things fall in place. Okay, so just don't get upset that it's not understandable or something. I'll keep repeating this. So with this mode of goodness, right? Ahankara in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. In that goodness, you have Jnana Shakti. Okay, Jnana Shakti of the Lord that is acting. That is called as Adideva. In the passion, you have the Kriya Shakti of the Lord that is acting. It is called as Adhyatma. And in ignorance, you have Karya Shakti or Dravya Shakti that is called as Adhibhuta. Okay, so now we have, just remember this and then we'll read the verse. While I spoke about Adideva, Adhyatma, and Adhibhuta, the reason I spoke about these three is that they are directly proportional to the Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Dravya Shakti given by the Lord, that is sent by the Lord. Now, this Jnana Shakti is there, right? This Jnana Shakti, we said it is in the mode of goodness. From this goodness, the mind and the 10 sense devatas are created for every living entity. Okay, the mind, these are all subtle. From the mode of goodness of the Jnana Shakti of the Lord, which is called as Adideva, mind and 10 senses are created. From passion, Ahankara in the mode of passion, along with the Kriya Shakti of the Lord, which is called as Adhyatma, we get the prana, that is the life air, the 10 senses and intelligence. This is created from passion. From ignorance, with the Dravya Shakti of the Lord, Adhibhuta, the 5 tanmatras and the 5 elements is created. What is the 5 elements? Sound, elements is either air, fire, water, and earth. And the tanmatras is sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Okay. So from the mode of goodness, something is going to come. From the mode of passion, something is going to come. And from the mode of ignorance, something is going to come. What comes from the mode of ignorance? It is material elements, right? That's why we say Dravya Shakti. Okay, Dravya means what? Materials. So from the mode of ignorance, this Dravya Shakti of the Lord what is happening? These five air, water, fire, either, all this comes, and they are respective properties. Like for either there is sound, for air there is touch, for fire there is form, for water there is taste, and for smell there is earth, or rather for earth there is smell. Okay, so from the mode of ignorance, all this has to be created. We're talking about creation, right? If you want the five elements to come into existence, it will come from the Dravya Shakti, which is in the mode of ignorance. But for anything to come into this material world, first of all, identification with the material world is needed. That is called as Ahankara. Ahankara itself is predominantly in the mode of ignorance. That is classified into three gunas. You have goodness, passion, and ignorance. From ignorance, Dravya Shakti, Adhibhuta, you get the elements of material nature. Okay. Then from passion, what will you get? From passion, which is called as Kriya Shakti. Kriya Shakti means action, right? Kriya. You can imagine that is passion, which is also called as Adhyatma. You get prana, 10 senses, and intelligence. We will discuss this in detail, what these all are. Pranavayu, how the intelligence is created in the body, and so on. And from Karta, Jnana Shakti, Adideva, mind, 10 sense devatas are created. Mind and devatas are in the mode of goodness. Intelligence and 10 senses are in the mode of passion. The tanmatras and the five elements, Bhumi, Apo, Anala, Vayu, come. These are all in the mode of ignorance. So put this into your mind for now. Okay, I will keep repeating, not to worry. Just keep this flow in your mind and let's see text number 24. But what happened till text number 23? Prabhupada already introduced the rest. That's why I had to say the whole thing. He already introduced Adi Bhutam, Adi Daivam and all. So that's the reason I said so far. But so far, what we have seen is this Ahankara is predominantly in the mode of ignorance, and it has created Ahankara in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So we have stopped there. Okay. Sadamani Mataji, you want to ask a question?
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, in this verse we saw that mind is coming from Sattva Gun and Buddhi is from Rajogun. So how can we understand this, Mataji? Mind and intelligence, they are coming from different modes.
Yeah. Even I had this question when I first read these verses. The answer given is that we generally think intelligence is greater than mind. But for intelligence, there is a lot of action that is needed. It is coming from Rajoguna only. See, intelligence means what? You have to discriminate, you have to think. There is a lot of action. It is actually in the mode of passion. Passion, not in a degrading manner. You should think passion means creative. Creative energy should be there for that. But mind is just a repository of impressions. So it doesn't have to do any action. It is just staying there, stay put, quiet and happy. That is Sattva. Makes sense, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, understood. So mind is not that much passionate like for ignorance, for intelligence. Sorry.
Intelligence, because the intelligence has to take decisions. It has to act. Okay. So that's why it's a good question.
Yeah. And also, Mataji, we should not consider passion to be in negative sense. No, Mataji, it is creative energy.
Yeah, don't take it in the in terms of Kriya Shakti. That's why it says Kriya Shakti. Right? Yes, it doesn't say some sort of passion in terms of lust and anger. It talks about Kriya Shakti. Okay. So far we are good.
Thank you.
Mataji, I have a doubt. Mataji, you said the mind is only depository of the informations. It doesn't have any intelligence. Is it so, Mataji?
Intelligence is a different layer over us. Mind is a separate layer. Intelligence is separate. They are different. Separate things.
Mataji, but mind also has its own intelligence to some extent.
That's what the minute you say intelligence, it's a different factor. So our subtle body consists of mind.
It always misguides us from. It gives us misguidance, right, Mataji? We understand it unless the intelligence overall controls our mind. Now really this is becoming mind-boggling. We can't really follow it to that extent. So that is a confusion. I asked this question. So if that means the mind doesn't have its own intelligence, should we understand it? Or whatever the intelligence that it has is dependent on the intelligent itself?
Mind is it doesn't have intelligence, Mataji. So what happens is mind is just a repository of several impressions. We give this example of pizza, if you remember. So if I am I'm walking and I see a pizza shop. Okay, think it's Govinda's only. So I'm going, I see Govinda's. Now, when I see Govinda's, all my past memories will come into play. Okay, I have eaten pizza in the past. I know how the pizza is. I know it is very tasty. It has the cheese, it has the olives and the jalapeno, whatever. And then I remember the taste also. It is so good and it is so pleasing. And currently, I'm hungry. So all these impressions and memories and thoughts, all this is the function of the mind. So the mind is thinking, I want to eat pizza, 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 pizza. The mind is screaming. Okay, this is what the mind does. Now the intelligence is the discriminating factor. When your mind is screaming pizza, 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 the intelligence says, shut up, mind. You are already overweight first. Second, it's not good for you in the night, you cannot digest. Third, maybe we don't know who made the pizza. Okay, we don't know the ingredients, perfect ingredients. So that intelligence comes into play, and the intelligence say, actually, mind, keep quiet, you don't need this pizza. Now, whether you're going to fall with the mind or you're going to go with the intelligence, that it depends on who's stronger. In my case, my mind is only strong. So I know I have zero intelligence, so I will go and eat that pizza. But if the intelligence is stronger, the intelligence wins, then the mind shuts up, right? So that's the difference between mind and intelligence. Makes sense?
Thank you, Mataji. Okay.
Okay. सोऽहङ्कार इति प्रोतो विकुर्वन् सम्भूत्रिधा वैकार्यस्तैजयश्च तमसश्चेति यद्विदां द्रव्यशक्ति क्रियाशक्ति ज्ञानशक्ति इति प्रभो. So now in this verse only Dravya Shakti, Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti is introduced. But since Prabhupada said it in the previous purport, I broke it. I broke the next step. So now you can read the translation, but you'll understand what it is. Someone wants to read translation?
Hare Krishna Mataji. The
Yeah.
self-centered materialistic ego, thus being transformed into three features, becomes known as the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance in three divisions, namely the powers that evolve matter, knowledge of material creations, and the intelligence that guides such materialistic activities. Narada, you are quite competent to understand this. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, I think Narada is very competent. It was very difficult for me at least. But anyway, here, this is the step that is being mentioned in this verse, that Mahat Tattva is predominantly in the mode of Sattva and Rajas. But then this Mahat Tattva in the mode of ignorance, see this materialistic ego thus being transformed into three features becomes to be known as the mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. Predominantly goodness and passion first. But then with that aging now, that ignorance also came into existence. Okay. Now that the ignorance has come into existence, this ignorance is one second. Ignorance into three divisions, namely so this ignorance is in three divisions. I told you ahankara in the mode of tamas is divided into goodness, passion, and ignorance. This goodness is Jnana Shakti. This passion is Kriya Shakti, and this ignorance is Dravya Shakti. That is what is mentioned here. Dravya Shakti, the power to evolve matter. Kriya Shakti, the initiation that creates, and Jnana Shakti, intelligence that guides. Okay, this is directly proportional to the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance of Ahankara. Ahankara itself is in the mode of ignorance, but it has three parts, right? That three parts we're talking about, goodness, passion, and ignorance, directly proportional to Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Dravya Shakti. Okay, so let's see Prabhupada's purport. Rupal Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, could you please explain Dravya Shakti, Bhumi Rapo Nalo, the matter, how it is in ignorance? Means, is it like a Shantrasa kind of thing?
There's no rasa here, Mataji. Ignorance means it's what? It's just matter, it's jadam, right? It's jada. It
Jada.
doesn't have any jad. Yeah, that's all. Ignorance. Okay.
So there is no movement. It's sthirta. Sthirta is ignorance, right? No, nothing. You can do nothing without.
It is just material elements. So it is ignorance.
Oh, it's just a material. Thank you, Mataji.
So now Prabhupada's purport. Prabhupada says this ahankar or materialistic ego means what? Sense of identification with matter. So obviously, it is in the mode of ignorance. Okay, it is clearly in the mode of ignorance. Now, this ignorance, ahankara, divides itself into three parts. That three parts becomes goodness, passion, and ignorance. Goodness that is predominated by Jnana Shakti, passion predominated by Kriya Shakti, and ignorance predominated by Dravya Shakti. Okay, so all this is created. Now, to talk about ignorance, Prabhupada says this ignorance of the personal feature of the Lord is simply due to ignorance of mixture of different modes. When we talk about ahankara, what are we ignorant of? We are ignorant of the Lord Himself. That is ahankara. Why? Because the more we identify with this material world, the more we think this material world is everything and we forget the Supreme Lord. So, real ignorance means, of course, ahankara means to identify with the body, identify to the things of this world. But why is it so much of a materialistic ego? Why is it considered ignorance? It is considered ignorance because you tend to forget the existence of God. Meaning, you're not identifying Krishna as everything, rather, you're identifying with the material world as being everything. Especially, Prabhupada talks about the impersonalist. Prabhupada says the impersonalist cannot conceive the Lord's spiritual form, and that is also ignorance. Okay? So, of course, he also talks about the people who take the Lord's form to be material. They say when the Lord descends into this world, he takes a material form. Such people, they are in the mode of ignorance. So, anyway, as long as one is identifying with matter in this material world, he's considered conditioned. By the will of the Lord, even the impersonalist also, one day he can get to transcend and understand that Narayana is actually everything. Okay, fine. So here, Prabhupada quotes this verse. He says, he talks about Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Dravya Shakti. And he says, actually, this whole material civilization, we are worried only about Dravyam, right? We are only worried about Dravya Shakti of the Lord. All that we are doing is worrying about material elements. He says this material civilization is manifested by a huge accumulation of materials. In other words, for example, you might need raw materials for industrial purposes. That is Dravya Shakti. And the industrial enterprises is Kriya Shakti. Okay, that is an example of Kriya Shakti. So, all that we have in this world is mostly Dravya Shakti and Kriya Shakti. On these two principles only, we are running this civilization. We are concentrating simply on Kriya Shakti and Dravya Shakti, and we are forgetting Jnana Shakti. Realization, spiritual realization of Jnana Shakti, we have completely forgotten. Our focus has been only on Dravya Shakti and Kriya Shakti. How to utilize material elements, how to act with material elements. And we are forgetting where the intelligence should be applied. Intelligence or Jnana should be applied for spiritual things. That we have completely forgotten. So therefore, because we are conditioned in this material world, we can at least try to adopt the principle of Karma Yoga that is described in 9.27. Yat karoshi yadashnasi, yad juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva mat arpanam. So though we are stuck in this material world, it is reality. We are all in this material world, right? And it is very, very difficult for us to function in a very advanced consciousness when we are tormented by things of this material world. So what is Srila Prabhupada telling us? As long as you are in this material world, I know you're getting absorbed by the fantasies of this world. So what is the best you can do? At least do karma mishra bhakti. 9.27 yad karoshi yad ashnasi. Whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you give away, all the austerities you do, whatever you may perform, it should be done as an offering to me. So we all begin our Krishna consciousness with this verse. This is the basics of Krishna consciousness. Yes, bhav bhakti, prema bhakti, all that will come. But unless we begin here, nothing will come. Right? The first thing is we should acknowledge that we are in this terrible material universe and we are continuously identifying with this universe. And when we acknowledge that we are identifying with this universe, how do we spiritualize our activities? You begin with Yad Karoshi Yad Ashnasi. So as you keep doing this over a period of time, you will advance in Krishna consciousness, and that Jnana Shakti, that jnana will get more and more evolved rather than just staying on the platform of Dravya Shakti and Kriya Shakti. Okay. So that was text number 24. Text number 25. So now we are going to see how this Dravya Shakti is going to give rise to either air, fire, water, and earth. And either will have sound, air will have touch, fire will have form, water will have taste, and earth will have smell. That is what we're going to see next in the next few verses, 25. तामसादपि भूतादेत् विकुर्वनादभून्नभ तस्य मात्र गुणशब्दो लिङ्गं यदृष्टदृष्टयोः. Anyone translation?
Hare Krishna. From the darkness of false ego, the first of the five elements, namely the sky, is generated. Its subtle form is the quality of sound, exactly as the seer is in relationship with the seen.
So the first, from this false ego that we are talking about, from this false ego of ignorance, again, we said false ego is predominantly in ignorance, but it is divided into three categories: in goodness, passion, and ignorance. And from that ignorance, we have Dravya Shakti. And from that Dravya Shakti, you have the five different elements. What is the first of the five different elements? The first of the five different elements is ether or sky. Come, remember? Kam, mana, buddhi. These are all subtle elements. So the ether or the sky, we say akash, kam, ether, sky, all of this is the same. So the first of the five elements is generated. When you say sky or ether is generated, what is the property of this? It is the subtle form of quality of sound. Sound is there in sky. Akasham, we say there's a like that, there is a sound that is supposed to be with that sky or that element of the sky. Okay, so that is the first thing that generates in this material world. Prabhupada says in the purport, the five elements, namely sky, air, fire, water, earth, are all but different qualities of darkness of false ego. So we saw that darkness, ahankara, that false ego, from there all this has come. This means false ego is the sum total of Mahat Tattva, and it is generated from the marginal, this means that the false ego in the sum total form of Mahat Tattva is generated from the marginal potency of the Lord, and due to this false ego of lording it over the material creation, ingredients are generated for the false enjoyment of the living being. So for our sake, all this is being generated. What is the first thing that is generated? The first thing for us to lord over the material nature. Our business here is to enjoy. For us to enjoy, the first element is being created. And this first element is called as sky or akasha or kam. All these are similar words that is being used. So you can imagine that this false ego is so strong for us, and all these different elements are created so that we can enjoy in this material world. And what is the tanmatra? That means what is the property of that ether? It is sound. The tanmatra sound is created with the sky. Okay. So this is the property of the sky. And Prabhupada says something very nice. He says sound is the subtle characteristic of the object. Sound is the subtle characteristic of sky. Similarly, he says the sound representation of Lord in terms of his characteristics is the complete form of the Lord, as was seen by Vasudeva and Maharaj Dasharath, the fathers of Lord Krishna and Lord Rama. He says, sound representation of the Lord is non-different from the Lord himself, because the Lord and his representation and sound are absolute knowledge. That means Krishna is non-different from his name. Vasudev and Maharaj Dasharath, they called their sons by their name, the sound representation. The sound representation, Krishna and Rama, is non-different from the form of Lord Krishna and Lord Rama themselves. Vasudev and Maharaj Dasharath, they had direct perception of their sons, right? They were seeing their sons directly. Just like how the sound is existing in sky, similarly, the personality exists in the sound vibration of the holy names. That's why it is said Lord Chaitanya has instructed that the holy name of the Lord is the sound representation of the Lord, and all the potencies of the Lord are invested in that name, which means when you chant the holy name, you can immediately be in association of the Lord by the pure vibration of the sound representation of this holy name. So, and when you call out his name, he's immediately manifest before the pure devotee. So the pure devotee, when he calls out the name of Krishna, Krishna immediately manifests in front of him. The holy name of the Lord is non-different from the Lord, and it is recommended in scriptures to chant the holy name if you want to be associated with the holy name continuously. And just by chanting the holy name, one can get perfection in life and be delivered. Okay, so first element that is created is sky, and it has the quality of sound. Sound is the direct representation of the object. And Prabhupada brings in how the power of sound vibrations can deliver anyone, because by invoking the names of Krishna, Krishna automatically is present there. So first was next. The next, 26 to 29 is continuous remaining elements is being mentioned. Nabaso ata vikurvanad abhut sparsha guno anila paranvayachadhavamscha prana oja saho balam vayurapa api vikruvanat kala karma swabhavataha उदपत्यत तेजो वै रूपवत् स्पर्श शब्दवत् तेजस्तु विकुर्वाणाद् आसीत् अम्भोरसात्मकं रूपवत् स्पर्शवत् शाम्भो घोषावच्च पराण्वयत् विशेषस्तु विकुर्वाणाद् अम्भसो गन्धवान् अभूत् Paranvayadrasasparsha Shabdarupa Gunanvita. Anyone for translation?
Because the sky is transformed, the air is generated with the quality of touch, and by previous succession, the air is also full of sound, and the basic principles of duration of life, sense perception, mental power, and bodily strength. When the air is transformed in course of time and nature's course, fire is generated, taking shape with the sense of touch and sound. Since fire is also transformed, there is a manifestation of water, full of juice and taste. As previously, it also has form and touch and is also full of sound. and water being transformed from all variegatedness on earth appears odorous and as previously become qualitatively full of juice, touch, sound, and form respectively. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you. So first we had sky or ether, and it had the property of sound. From ether, you see air and touch. Air comes, first there is ether, the next that is produced is air with touch, fire with form, water with taste, and earth with smell. These are the properties of each of these different elements. They are called as tanmatras. So either has the property of sound, but what is created first? It is the subtle element. Sound is first created, then you have ether. Okay. From ether, touch is created, then you have air. From air, form is created, then you have fire. Fire has the property of form. So what comes first is always the subtle element. Okay, the tanmatra will come first. So first you have sound and then you have sky. But what is the property of sky? It is sound. Next, you have touch and from touch, air. So what is the property of air? It is touch. Like that you should remember. So with form and fire, fire has form. Water has taste. So then from water comes smell, and from smell comes earth. Now, each of these different elements will have the property of the previous element as well. Like for example, ether only has sound. Air, it has both sound and touch because it is coming from that, right? If it is air is coming from the source of ether, then air should have the property of touch within it as well as the property of sound. Similarly, fire has form, but it not only has form, it also has touch and it has sound. I think you all must have experienced this. So fire, it has a form, you can see the form, and there is it's hot to touch, right? So there is a property of touch and there is also property of sound. Generally, there is a sound that comes from the fire when the fire is burning. There is a sound that you can detect in that fire. Similarly,
Crackling
water.
sound.
Correct, crackling sound. Water has taste, but water also has form, right? If you put water in a jug, it will take the shape of the jug. And it has touch. You can touch water and feel the coolness. It has sound also. Water flowing has sound. It can generate sound. So water has everything, all of these properties. And finally, from water comes smell, and then earth is formed. Earth has the property of smell. We say the smell of earth, right? It has a beautiful fragrance. Now, especially when it's raining, you can smell earth, they say. So now, earth has taste also. Obviously, Krishna ate dirt. So earth has taste. Earth has form. You can hold soil. Earth has touch. You can sense it. Earth has sound as well. It has the sound of the universe. Earth also has sound. So like this, each of the consecutive element that is created or the consecutive tanmatra that is created has the property of the previous one as well. Okay. So I think this is all of you are very familiar with this. You must have read all this 100 times. But this is all coming from where? Dravya Shakti, in the mode of ignorance. Ahankara in the mode of ignorance is giving rise to Dravya, El Shakti, which creates the 5 tanmatras and the 5 elements. That is where we are in the chart for now. Now, Prabhupada, he says, the whole process of creation is an act of gradual evolution and development of one element from the other. So up to reaching the variegatedness of earth as so many trees, plants, mountains, rivers, reptiles, birds, animals, human beings. So when creation is done, it is done from the point of creating sky up to the point of creating earth, which is full of variety. And we should understand they are all mutually the cause and effect of one another, but the original cause is the Supreme Lord Himself. One has created the other. From Karnodakshay Vishnu's land, so many things happened. We got Pradhan, we got Mahatattva, we got Ahankara, then we got Ahankar in 3 modes. And then from the mode of ignorance and Ahankar, we got Dravya Shakti, which created 5 Tanmatras and elements. But who's the source of everything? Everything came from that Supreme Lord who is lying down in that causal ocean. And who's the source of that cause? Karnodakshay Vishnu, it is Krishna. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he has told, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matha sarvam pravartate. Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. The first verse of the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. So it says, Aham sarvasya prabhava. I am the source of everything that exists in this world. Prabhupada goes on to explain how the sense of perception is fully represented in earth. They are manifested in other elements to a lesser extent. The sky, there is sound only, whereas in air, there is sound and touch. In fire, there is sound, touch, and shape. In water, there is taste also, along with other perceptions, namely sound, touch, and shape. In earth, however, all of the above mentioned qualities with an extra development of odor is present. So therefore, this earth is a display of variegatedness in life. And he also says, everything began with air, right? Actually, this air is very subtle. This air is supposed to be very, very subtle. And diseases of the body, he says, they take place due to derangement of air within the earthly body of the living beings. Mental diseases result from special derangement of the air within the body, and as such, yogic exercise is especially beneficial to keep the air in order so that diseases of the body become nil by such exercises. Especially mental diseases, they say the vata in the body, the air in the body is not properly balanced. Even in Ayurveda and even in Jyotisha Shastra, they talk about the air element in the body. If the air element in the body is not properly balanced, that is when one may have disturbances in the subtle level, in the mind level. So these all should be balanced properly. The body has everything. Our body has earth, water, air, fire, and ether. It has everything. How? The earth element is nothing but the manifest skin, the muscles, the bones, all this is earth element. Water element, we all know how our body is more than 75% water or 90%, some people say, I don't know which is correct. Okay, so there is a lot of water. There is fire element. You have the Jhataragni, which keeps the body warm and digests the food. There is air element. You inhale and exhale air. And there is ether or space, sky. Sky is what? Space. So obviously there is space, right? Your body is taking up space. So all of these elements are there within the body, and it is outside the body also in this world. Now, our body should have all of this intact. It should have it in the right proportion, especially the air should be properly controlled. That is when the quality of life can improve. And Prabhupada talks about the yogis, Ashtanga yogis, how they control the air and they are able to control even death by the breathing process. The slower you breathe, the more is the lifespan, he says. So I think this is there when Prabhupada comments on people who are always running. There are a lot of people for fitness, they just keep running the whole time. And Prabhupada just says, what is the use? You're taking more and more breaths and you're decreasing your lifespan in the name of being healthy. So like that, everybody comes with a certain number of breaths in their life. Of course, we should all keep a healthy body. There's no doubt about it. If we have to do our exercise, we have to do our exercise, we have to be fit, all that is there. But the point is, we come with a certain number of breaths, and balancing that air in the body becomes extremely important. And at the end of all this, Prabhupada says, don't worry, just be a bhakti yogi, because by dint of your devotional service, you can actually perfect life. Okay, text 30. Text 30, now we saw the mode of ignorance is creating the 5 tanmatras and the 5 elements. What about the mode of passion? Mode of goodness, I think he's coming to first. Okay, he's coming to the mode of goodness here. Then he'll talk about the mode of passion. So mode of goodness, what is it creating? We saw mind, right? It creates the mind, and not only the mind, it also creates the sense devatas. You have different senses. First, the devatas for those senses have to be created. Then only the senses will be created. Okay. So the sense devatas and the mind is generated from the mode of goodness. And who are the sense devatas? There is a list of the different devatas that is given here. And these devatas, they were first created because they are more subtle. And they are going to lord over the senses that are going to be generated in a body. Like you have the power of hearing, and the external organ is the ear. You have the power of seeing, the external organ is the eye, right? So for all of this to come into existence, you first have to have the sense devata, because he is more subtle. Always the subtle is created, then the gross is created. That is the principle of creation. So first we'll get the devatas in place for the different organs to be generated. So let's see who they are. From the mode of goodness, the mind is generated and becomes manifest. And so also the 10 demigods controlling the bodily movements. Such demigods are known as the controller of directions, the controller of air, the sun god, the father of Daksha Prajapati, the Ashwini Kumaras, the fire god, the king of heaven, the worshipable deity in heaven, the chief of the Adityas, and Brahmaji, the Prajapati. All these come into existence. Now, the year, okay, it is ruled by the Dik Devatas. First, the Dik Devatas have to be created for year to be generated. Then for eyes, you need Surya. Without Surya, what eyes you can have? I mean, what is the use of eyes if there is no Surya Dev, right? So first Surya has to be created for you to see, for the eyes to come into existence. Then for the skin to be functional, you need Vayu. Without air, wind, how can you feel, how can you sense touch, right? So you need Vayudev first for skin and touch to come into existence. For the nose, you need Ashwini Kumaras. Nose, pranavayu and all when you take, right? It's the function of the nose smell. All this, he's the doctor. Ashwini Kumaras should be there. Then for tongue, Varuna. Varuna has a lot of waters. For tasting, you taste through, the first thing that you taste is water. And for that, you need Varuna. For hands, Indra, because with hands you work. For feet, it is Upendra. You walk. For voice, it is Agni. Again, this is also Ayurveda. When the Agni Tattva is disturbed in the body, the voice gets affected. And similarly, in Jyotisha Shastra, they check for Agni element, Mars element. If the Mars element is distorted, the voice gets affected. So everything is connected. You see, creation is connected with all of this. And then the anus, for the anus to be generated, you need Mitra, and for genitals, you need Prajapati. Prajapati means one who, progenitor is Prajapati, right? First Prajapati it should come, then only genitals will be there, then only progeny will come. So like that, all of these subtle personalities, they all come into existence. So actually what we have seen so far is that we have seen what all comes from ignorance, which is the 5 elements and the tanmatras. And we have seen in the mode of goodness what comes into existence, mind and 10 senses. What we should see in the next verse, is what is in the mode of passion. What is in the mode of passion? What should come? Pranavayu and 10 senses and intelligence. Don't forget, intelligence should also come. But we won't have time to go that far. So I just gave you a summary and I'm stopping here. I'm not even done the purport, but I definitely want to show you a slide and show the flow of the contents so that you can take home so much. And then next class, we can continue to discuss this. Next class, when we discuss again, we will go through the whole thing, we'll revise it, and then we'll do this we just did one, right? We just did the mode of ignorance, tanmatras and elements. This mind, sense devatas, and pranavayu, 10 senses intelligence, all this we'll do later again so that it settles into our mind. So here is the flow chart. You can follow Subodhini. I take it from Subodhini only. So those who have Subodhini, just take that. Otherwise, take a picture of this. I can send a picture of this in the WhatsApp as well. This is the flow, okay? Karana Shrishti. So you have Pradhan. Pradhan is an undifferentiated state. It is a kind of a, it's in a very, it's just there, okay? It's just going to be there. Pradhan is there. Now Mahavishnu, he casts his glance on this Pradhan, and his glance is actually Shambhu, and Shambhu touches Maya and impregnates Maya with Kala and Jiva, and the Jiva go with Swabhava and Karma. Now, with the agitation of Kala and Jiva, it causes Mahat Tattva, where the dormant modes become manifest. This Mahat Tattva is predominantly Sattva and Rajas first. Then later, it becomes Tamas. From the tamas portion of Mahat Tattva comes Ahankara, and Ahankara in the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance give rise to respective elements, senses, sense organs, devatas, and so on. So you see this flow. First you have Karno, Dakshay, Vishnu, and Kala and the Jivas are infused. Jivas come with Karma and Swabhava, and then that gives rise to Pradhana. Okay. The Pradhana, 3 modes are inactive, and then comes Mahat Tattva. You have Mahat Tattva in the mode of Sattva Guna and Mahat Tattva in the mode of Rajoguna. Eventually, you get Ahankara, Mahat Tattva in the mode of Ahankara. It is classified into goodness, passion, and ignorance. In the mode of goodness, you have Karta, doer, or Jnana Shakti. And in the mode of passion, you have Kriya Shakti. And in the mode of ignorance, it's Dravya Shakti. So Dravya Shakti, you get the 5 tanmatras and elements. From Karana Shakti or Kriya Shakti, you get the 10 senses and intelligence. And from Jnana Shakti, you get the mind and 10 senses, sense devatas. So all this is in the mode of goodness. This Kriya Shakti is in the mode of passion, and ignorance, Dravya Shakti. So from this Dravya, when you talk about elements, you have the 5 elements, which from ether you have, from sound you have ether, and then comes touch and air, then comes form and fire, then comes taste and water, then comes smell and earth. And for this passion, right, from this, passion we didn't come yet, but we saw the words for goodness. For goodness, you have the Dig Devatas, and from them the year is going to come, which is going to be the mode of passion later. From Surya, the eyes, from Vayu, the skin, Ashwini Kumaras, the nose, Varuna, tongue, Indra, hands, Upendra, feet, Agni, voice, Mitra, anus, and Prajapati, genitals. So till here, if you have seen, it is enough. In the next slide, we'll give more details, and it will complete this creation cycle. Yeah, if you have any thoughts or questions, you can ask. I'll stop here for today. Saudamani Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I have 2 things to share, Mataji. The first one, that Mahat Tattva was initially in Sattva and Rajas, then eventually Tama with aging. So you gave the grape juice example, and I was thinking of another example also, which I heard in Radhesham Prabhuji's class. So I'm trying to connect that with this. Like Prabhuji was telling that river water is flowing, so it's very clean, and pond water it's settled, and that's why all insects grow, mosquitoes and all these things. So in our bhajan also, if we are like very satisfied, oh, whatever I am doing is enough, then all anarthas they grow. So can we relate here with that, with ignorance comes when we are very settled down.
Very true.
So
Very true. Very, very true.
Yeah.
Very
So this
true,
was the first
Mataji.
thing, Mataji. Yeah, thank you, Mataji. And the second one, Mataji, I'm just trying to connect. If I'm wrong, please correct me. This false ego, they are predominantly in Tama, Then again, goodness, passion, ignorance. So, um, like a train, Mataji, has one destination. Suppose a train is going to Delhi, and there are three categories: first class, second class, third class. So, uh, this ahankar is actually forgetfulness of Krishna. So we are just bewildered and we came to this material world, and then this ahankar is again in goodness, passion, and ignorance. So can we
Correct.
relate like this?
100%, 100%, 100%. Yes.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. Very good. So there are no other questions, so I can stop here. Yeah, Tulsi Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Once I
Yes,
had heard
Mataji.
from thank you so much for the wonderful class. Actually, this topic is very complicated. Once I had heard from Ravindra Swarup Prabhu that many years ago, actually, he gave these seminars on the three modes of material nature and all of this. It basically, if the more we are in the mode, in higher modes or lower modes, the more or less you can understand this topic. However, taking to Krishna consciousness and basically cleaning our consciousness, then only we can really understand how different modes impact what, because those of us who are less in sattva will less understand this topic basically, and those who have more rajas it will be harder, and those who are in tamas it will be harder for them. Regardless, everyone should try to understand, but yeah, I was just thinking that it's little technical, and I mean, it's interesting. I took a lot of notes, and I didn't know one thing new I learned is that the five basic material elements are created with incremental quality or property. Like sky is quality of sound. After that, air has both property of sound and touch, and then the next element created after that in his particular order has the property of previous and then additional, right? Is that right? How
Right.
it is? Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, Rupal Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, I wanted to know like how ahankar can be in all the three modes: mode of passion, ignorance, and a mode of goodness.
Like Sadamani Mataji just said, Ahankar, you're identifying with this material world. You've come into this material world, and then you're in three different cells, three different conditions. She said, right? Like three different first grade, second grade, third grade, like that, or three different shackles. You have iron shackle, gold shackle, and
Oh,
silver shackle.
based
Yeah.
on the
So
on which
basic,
mode you are in, your
yeah, you
ahankar
are
becomes
in
like
this
that.
material world. Yeah.
Based on the mode, basically your ahankar will transform accordingly. I see. So mode of goodness, how does the ahankar look like in mode of goodness? Like, is there even ahankar there when we are mode of goodness?
Everything is ahankar. Taji. As long as we're identifying with the body, it is all ahankar. Mode of goodness. People in the mode of goodness have the mode of goodness in ahankar. That's ahankar in goodness. As long as you're in this material world, you are under the umbrella of ahankara only. And in that, you will be in goodness, passion, or ignorance.
So is it possible? Can you give me an example? How would the ahankar in mode of goodness look like? For
All
example,
that you read in Bhagavad Gita, all the people in the mode of goodness are in the mode of goodness in ahankara. All that you read in Bhagavad Gita, mode of goodness.
but
It's all.
it wouldn't hurt anyone, would it? Would it ahankar?
Can I add something here? So, for example, the devatas, they are under some ignorance that they control the material elements, and sometimes they are
Right.
surprised how Krishna controls more than them. So that's one example of people in the mode of
Yes.
who are in false ego or ahankar or actually ignorance, right? Secondly, like we studied in Gita, how the mode of goodness can be binding out of happiness and knowledge, and they feel very much content with what they do, and it gives them
Yeah.
pleasure and joy, and they become bound and satisfied
Bound by
and
it.
bound by those pleasures. That's how, Mataji, you have to see.
Thank you, Mataji. Mataji, one more quick question, that you mentioned that ether is like a space, your body occupies the space. Is that right way to understand ether? The space I'm
Yes,
occupying
space.
in this, right. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we can end here and we'll meet again on Thursday and we'll complete this section.
But
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhi.
Mata, I just wanted to refer one of the favorite slokas of Srila Prabhupada, 3.27. He says, Prakrute Kriyamanani Gunehi Sarva. Ahankar Vimudatma Karta Hamiti. As long as you and me, as conditioned soul, we think that I am doing, that is false ego. As soon as I come to understand Jivera Swarupa Krishna Nityada, and I engage myself, identify myself as Krishna's Das Anudasosmi, then you are going beyond the material nature. And that's our real ahankar. And I'm Krishna's servant. I just wanted to add that, my Mata.
Haribol. Thank you, Phil. Thank you so much. Okay. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyevcha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavvrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. More glories to all the assembled.